Hey everybody, welcome back to Jocks of all Trades. I'm your host Kyle. This is Jock Talk. This episode we're going to talk about the playoffs, talk about the Pro Bowl a little bit, maybe all pros. Mainly this is going to be just kind of a rehash of playoffs and then the championship game as well. So let's just jump right into it here. Let's start out with the buzz for today. The Pro Bowl rosters kind of came out. If you saw that, if you happened to see it, I just have a problem personally with the Pro Bowl. I'm not sure if you guys are the same way, but it just seems like there's so many overrated players on there, players that didn't even play a lot and get in just based on name. It happens all the time. I kind of hate it. Like, we have Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara on the NFC, and I just feel like they didn't really have that great of years, if I'm being honest. I think they just kind of got on name alone. I don't really know who you'd sub in there, but those guys for sure, I feel like always get in on their name. As well as like Bobby Wagner. He gets in on name right now. And Harrison Smith in his career, like he's just an old man right now. A lot of these guys get in on their name. AFC, Lamar Jackson got in. I feel like he didn't really have that good of a year. Also, he was hurt a lot of the year. Nick Chubb, I don't think – I mean, he's, again, a really great player, but I don't think he has as good a year as he usually does. As well as, like, guys on the defense. It just surprises me that none of the Bills players, who's, like, the best defense in the league, none of those players got in the Pro Bowl. Tell me how that's possible. But we have, Kevin Byard, Derwin James, Tyrann Mathieu. Like, Tyrann Mathieu, really? Is he that good? What about Micah Hyde from the Bills? What about Jordan Poyer from the Bills? Like, there's a lot of guys that just performed a lot better that did not make the Pro Bowl. Yet, they made the All-Pro team. And that's just like – or the second team All-Pro as well. And that's just more of an indicator for me about, like, who should get recognized, who should not get recognized. On offense, the first team's Rodgers, Jonathan Taylor, that makes sense. Tight ends, Mark Andrews makes sense. Left tackle, Trent Williams. You got Tristan Wirfs, Joel Bitonio, Zach Martin, Jason Kelsey. Receivers, we got Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Debo Samuel. That all makes sense. If you want to look at safeties, it's Jordan Poyer and Kevin Byard. So, like what I said, Jordan Poyer got in as he should have gotten in. And the rest kind of makes sense. Micah Parsons, crazy year. Darius Leonard, Devondre Campbell. Interesting, Devondre Campbell got in. You really didn't hear much from him with Atlanta, and he goes to Green Bay, and he kind of tears it up. So that's really good to see. If you want to go to the second team, also very well done. We got Lane Johnson on the Eagles. Didn't make the Pro Bowl. Offense is Tom Brady. Quarterback, tight end, Kelsey. Receivers, Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Rashawn Slater, the rookie, Quentin Nelson, Wyatt Teller, Corey Linsley. Safeties, they got Micah Hyde and Justin Simmons. Sorry, look at that. Tyrann Mathieu didn't even make it, and neither did Derwin James. Pretty interesting there. Edge rushers, you got Robert Quinn, Max Crosby as well. It just seems like the All-Pro is just better done than Pro Bowl. I mean, you get that with the NBA too. It just becomes a name game at that point. It's just not fun. Like, you get so many players that are like, did they even like play this year? Like, I don't know who was it. There was one player from the NBA who like didn't even play at all and got some of the most votes. And you're just like, that's stupid. Like, why? And it happens. It's just a name game. It's frustrating. And on top of that, the Pro Bowl, it's just a sucky all-star game. It doesn't do anything. There's no rhyme or reason for it. There's no thing there that kind of indicates, playoff seeds or the next year. Like baseball, it's the AL versus the NL. You get home field advantage based on who wins. The NBA has like money attached to it. Also, they have a lot of other like really fun games you play. But even that's not very good. The NHL is pretty fun to watch as well. They have a lot of interesting games and things they play on there. But the NFL is just like no one tries, no one gives an effort, and they just throw it up and kind of walk. And It's not fun. It's not even needed, I think. I think it's something really stupid they should probably get rid of or improve it in a lot of ways. So overall, I think the Pro Bowl is overrated for sure. All Pro is something that if I was a fan, I'd look more to that as an indicator of who were the elite guys this year. That would be my indicator. Let's move on to the Texans get rid of David Culley. He's out as head coach. This doesn't really make sense to me. I know David Culley was no one's first choice, first hire. He's a receivers coach. He just kind of went to Texans because Texans needed someone to just step in and play and step in and coach and get them a good run while the team was just going to tank. And he was the guy to do that. He was the guy to unfortunately take over. But even when Texans kind of seemed down and out, like that they were going to be 0-17, like David Culley, I thought did okay, and I just don't know why you get rid of a guy like that who takes over a team that no one wants to be there. And now you get rid of him and you're like, well, someone wants to take us now. Are you sure? Like, I don't think you're any more attractive than what you were a year ago. It's like, okay, you put some makeup on, but really underneath you're still ugly. Like you're still pretty bad, still pretty messed up. You don't have a ton of picks. You still got Deshaun Watson on your roster. Davis Mills looked better than what we thought, sure, but overall, talent-wise, they're not there. Defensively, they outperformed where they were ranked, where they were supposed to be. I just feel like you keep going with David Culley and keep kind of being, crap, and just have a guy there that can run the ship and steady the ship, and while you get an influx of talent on your roster. And then once you get some talent, then you're like, okay, well, David Culley, you probably won't take us to the Super Bowl. You probably won't be that coach that'll take us to a run of playoff years. But at least, keep him till you're attractive. Keep him till, you have somewhere to go. I just don't think there's going to be any coach out there that's going to be like, oh, well, they went 3-14 this year, 4-13. Yeah, now I think I can take them over and we can rebuild. No one wants to do that. No one wants that headache. No one wants that stress on them. But they did it. So they need a new head coach. Who are they going to get? Well, I don't know. Again, I don't think anyone wants to go to the Texans to coach. So I would look at another kind of unknown guy, maybe a special teams coordinator, offensive coordinator that's kind of, not very well known. That they will kind of play as well, we really love this guy in the hiring process and interviewing process. We think he's really going to bring something to the Texans. But they also have Nick Cassiero as their GM, who I believe was on the Patriots at one point. So Brian Flores could be an option. And I guess that wouldn't be too terrible. But as Brian Flores, I guess if that is the head coaching position, that the only position that offers you as head coach, you would take it. Personally, I don't believe he should have been out with the Dolphins coach anyway, but that's just me. Actually, I don't think it's just me. I think it's a lot of fans that didn't want him out. So it's frustrating from a Texans perspective, Texans fans perspective, to have a guy like that who just kind of steadies the ship. And then you get rid of him just because you think you can elevate. I don't always think the grass is always greener. That saying is always out there for a lot of teams. This guy's not bad, but we think this guy. Sometimes no. Sometimes the grass isn't always greener. Sometimes your franchise just sucks butt, and you can't get anything better than what you have. So you just gotta you have to change it up, not from a head coaching perspective, but maybe from a higher perspective, like an ownership perspective. I feel like a lot of teams kind of hold on to that. They think they can just get a new head coach in and they can write everything, and it doesn't work like that at all. So it's very disappointing to see for the Texans, and also very disappointing for the Dolphins as well to get rid of Brian Flores. I think he did a really nice job for them. Let's move on to the Georgia Bulldogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide recap here. On the last pod, I said Alabama was going to win in a nail biter, and I was wrong, dead wrong. I'll take that. Sorry about that. I was dead wrong. I really thought Alabama would come out and perform a little bit better, especially on offense. But then, James Williams goes out. That definitely hurt them. His two main targets this year was Mechie and Williams. he had them both for the Georgia game. And once you have guys like that who would probably be a first, second round pick in this next draft, and then yes, the guys beneath them are all studs in their own right, like probably 4 or 5 star guys, going to be talented, going to be really good players, but they don't have the rapport, they don't have the chemistry that the other 2 guys do. So, that definitely hurt them. But you play with what you got, and they couldn't do it. On top of that, they ran the ball terribly. Overall, it was 28 carries for 30 yards. That won't get it done. Bryce Young, 2 picks. That won't get it done. And you let Stetson Bennett go 17 for 26, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns. That won't get it done. And you allow them 4.7 yards in the ground. That won't get it done. Won't get it done at all. But beyond that, Georgia's defense is just insane. Jordan Davis had a tackle for loss. Trevon Walker, Robert Beal, Nakobe Dean, William Poole, Nolan Smith had 2, Lewis Sine had 1, Quay Walker had 1, Shane Tyndall had 1.5. Sacks, Walker had a sack, Robert Beal had a sack, Nolan Smith did, Shane Tyndall had a sack, Nakobe Dean was all over the field. They just got after it. Again, I think there's maybe seven guys in that defense that could go in the draft. On top of that, probably 4 or 5 on Alabama. So a lot of guys from this game that are going to go in the draft you'll see on your team come April or come May. So the recap, though, overall, it's just Georgia was more talented, I think. And I did say that on the last pod. I think Georgia's more talented, but I think Alabama has a better coach. And while I still think Alabama has a better coach, the talent was just Georgia played up their talent. In the championship game, the defense did not, I don't think. But finally, they were like, "Oh yeah, we are really good. We can go sideline to sideline. We can get in the backfield. We can make disruptive plays," and they did all game. It was just crazy to see all those linebackers, all those defensive ends just run from one end to the other and make plays left and right. Overall, again, Georgia's just more talented. I think that's what happened. If Bryce Young had his 2 receivers, I think it would have been a little bit different. I still think Georgia would have won, but it would have been a lot closer, I think. But for the most part, it was pretty close all the way up until the 4th quarter. So, that's just what happens. They kind of just took it away at the end. But as for Georgia, as their longevity, I think they're going to be a team to, come back to the Final Four again and again and again, as well as Alabama. They always do. So, I think if they had their receivers for sure, they would have, they would have been in it for sure. But Georgia just overall had more talent. Stetson Bennett didn't turn the ball over. They ran the ball better. Just kind of those 3 keys to victory. They didn't turn the ball over. They got turnovers. They established line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. That's what wins you the game. And that's what will probably always win you the game unless your quarterback just goes insane. And Bryce Young, still young. So I saw a lot of people after that game all over Facebook and Twitter how did Bryce Young, how did he win the Heisman? How did he, is he going to be a first-round draft pick, in 2 years? Is he worthy of that? Georgia's one of the best defenses in the game. And again, he didn't have his 2 receivers, and he's still young. He still put up pretty gaudy stats for not being great. So I wouldn't look too much into it. Could he have played better? Yes. Could he have ran the ball more? Yes. But he's still young. He's got time to, adjust and work on all of that. Guys, let's move on to the playoffs here, the NFL playoffs. We still have a game to go, the Rams and Cardinals tonight. But just a recap here, the Bengals, the Bills, the Bucs, the 49ers, the Chiefs all move on. Bengals, Joe Burrow is insane again. A very close game down to the wire, but the big playability from the Bengals is just too much for the Raiders to handle. The Bills demolished the Patriots. I didn't see that coming. I thought the Bills would win, but I thought it would be a lot closer. Josh Allen is just, we talk about Patrick Mahomes having a live arm, best arm in the game, but Josh Allen, if you watch that game, I don't know. I think Josh Allen has Patrick Mahomes beat in terms of arm strength. Even the running game worked out well for them. And then, again, their defense was just all over. I talked about earlier about the All-Pro, Pro Bowl team. Bills defense didn't get on the Pro Bowl, but they got on the All-Pro. That showed out in the Patriots game. Those safeties made plays. The linebackers made plays. And Mac Jones couldn't really do much. Mac Jones and Tom Brady, not yet. So the Bills just handily beat them. The Buccaneers destroyed the Eagles. I thought it'd be closer again, but Tom Brady was on autopilot. It's funny. The Eagles D coordinator kind of said, well, Tom Brady was on autopilot our first game, so we have to change it up, make it not so. And he was again. So, he didn't change it up at all. Brady, even without his two receivers, even without, a myriad of offensive line that got hurt in the game, even without Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a crappy defense with no linebackers or safeties, plus you just have Tom Brady, who's smart. He's going to win, and he killed him. The Buccaneers defense the Eagles offense had no answer for that. The 49ers beat the Cowboys in hilarious fashion. I don't know why they ran the ball on that last play. Yes, the refs could have moved out of the way a little bit faster. They couldn't have been as uncoordinated for sure, but you never put yourself in that position. You had 13, 14 seconds left. You don't run the ball for 15 yards and expect to spike it. That's such a stupid play. You don't do that. That's your own fault. The 49ers on the ground performed very, very well. And the Cowboys choke again as per usual. The Chiefs go on to beat the Steelers, kind of murder them as well. Early on, it was a game, but Patrick Mahomes just proved to be too much. And Steelers' offense was just anemic at that point, and not a game at all when it come down to it. So I would say the 49ers and Cowboys, good game. Bengals and Raiders, good game. The other ones were blowouts. But let's move on to the aftermath of that. The Hurts and the Eagles, they get blown out. What's next for them? Well, I think the outcome for this game is you have to talk about the quarterback, first of all. Hurts, it's frustrating because I try to be as reasonable as possible. I see people on two ends of the spectrum. I see Jalen Hurts is trash. I see Jalen Hurts is going to be a really good quarterback. Let's keep him. And right now I'm in the middle of he's okay and I don't really care. He's only in his second year, his first full year starting. Next year will be his second year full starting. So I'm not on the bandwagon of let's get rid of him. I'm on the bandwagon of let's play him for another year, see what happens. But if there's an opportunity to upgrade, let's do it. Because I think as a runner, very good. Leadership, hard work, effort, character, all in the elite category. Accuracy on short throws, not bad, pretty good, I would say. But I think two things that stand out to me is arm strength and processing. And if you can't process as well, if you have a big arm, and it's okay because you can get throws in a little bit late and still be on the money. Okay, well, if you're a very good processor but don't have a good arm, well, then that's good because you can throw balls early. If you don't have enough zip on the ball, it doesn't matter because you're intelligent, you process well, so you can see what's going to happen. You can get the ball there before the defender does. Hurts is kind of average to below average on both, and that doesn't bode well. He doesn't have a great arm, and he doesn't process well. Now, the processing thing, can it increase? Can it get better? I think it can with experience, with time, for sure. Maybe. Can the arm strength get better? By a little bit. I think just some guys have it, some guys don't. You can get a little bit stronger, but in all honesty, it never gets supremely that much better. So that's what's frustrating is I think he's a very good runner. I think in a good offense that's designed around him, he can be good. He can get to the playoffs, but guys, when it comes down to it, once you get in the playoffs, teams will take away what you do well. And the Buccaneers took away the run game. They stacked 8-9 in the box and just was like, Jalen Hurts, throw it. And he couldn't. He couldn't do it. Now, the game plan wasn't great. But also I would feel like the game plan, they can't be that stupid enough to be like, hey, let's get it to Jalen Reagor. It's not a good game plan. He didn't see Devonta Smith like the end of the game where it didn't matter. That's not a good strategy. Double coverage, triple coverage to Dallas Goedert, not a good strategy at all. So I don't want to be on either end of the spectrum here. I just think he's somewhere in the middle. I think he's okay. And I think with a really talented team around him on offense and defense, yeah, he can get you to the playoffs. But he can get you there, and that's it. And that's not where you want to be. If you're a deficiently, talented team, if you have deficiencies at other positions in terms of talent, your quarterback can make up for that. We see it all the time. He's not the kind of guy to do that. So if they get all this talent in with their first-round picks, with free agency the upcoming years, then, yeah, I think you can take the team to the playoffs. But, again, I think that's pretty much it. So I'm hoping he gets better. I'm hoping he changes my mind, but I don't think he will. I do still think you start him next year, see what you can get out of him, because you can still get a good pick out of him. Someone could trade for him. Or he could be your starter. He could. Anything's possible, right? Especially if his development moves up, if he processes things better, if he gets smarter, if he gets more experience, those things can happen. But it's just two things right now that, kind of suck because, oh my gosh, Brad's here. What's up?
I came to see the stream and see, I was going to check the video. I didn't know you were recording. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in, man. I'm in the thick of things right now. I was just talking about Jalen Hurts. I was on my Google Docs, so I wasn't really paying attention to the screen. Then I heard a noise, and I switched on over. I'm like, oh, dear God, there he is.
Sorry, I literally just came. I was like, well, I'll just make sure he's got the video up. And I saw it, and it said live. I was like, what does that mean? That shouldn't be live. And I clicked on it. I was like, oh, he's recording. Never mind. But I'm here, so I'll hang out for a minute. Sorry.
All right. No, you're good. Yeah, so I was just talking about Jalen Hurts. I think from what I've seen, you've probably seen it too, people are on either end of the spectrum. One side thinks he's going to be a really good quarterback, and the other side thinks he's trash. I think he's somewhere in the middle, especially after last night's game. So I think they should keep him for another year, see what they can get out of him. But to me, it's just I don't know. I think
it can go either way. I don't think it's all on Hurts, but he could do better. He could really do better. But if you think about it, it really was kind of his rookie season.
So, yeah. And it was his first playoff game. So
this offseason will really, really dictate what that Eagles team is going to look like next year. And it really, and I hate to say this, it does fall on Hurts. And Sirianni. I mean, Sirianni's got to help him by running the ball occasionally, but still, it'll come down to Hurts. So you're right.
And then I was going to talk about next the Cowboys and how they lost in that hilarious fashion with Dak Prescott running the ball for 15 yards and then trying to spike it, the refs getting in the way. Again, the Cowboys choke. Every year I see the Cowboys are the most talented team in the NFC East, maybe the NFC. They could run the table this year. They have all these weapons. They have Zeke, really good offensive line, really good receivers, Dak's an MVP. Defensively, they improved on their talent. And yet again, they choke. They lost to Jimmy G. And a Niners team who was 9-8 or 10-7, something like that.
10-7.
It's a choke artist. It's what they do. I don't know if you agree with this, but a lot of people kind of want Mike McCarthy out and then Kellen Moore to be elevated to their head coach. You think that would be a good idea?
I love Kellen Moore. Yes, he is incredibly gifted as an offensive mind. I was hoping that would translate as a quarterback when he came into the league. I liked that Boise State team. I really did. But you know what? He's done some really good work with a questionable quarterback. Dak is not with the elites, but he's still good. He's if we're going elite, great. He's in that great category. And Kellen Moore has really gotten the most out of him. And that's impressive because he's been through a couple head coaches, and Kellen Moore has still made the offense consistent every year. Whether that's consistently bad sometimes, but I think that's more on the decision-making of the quarterback and Mike McCarthy more than it is Kellen Moore, who's gotten the most out of the offense. Bring him up. See what he does with everything. He's already proven for a couple years that he knows what he's doing with the offense. So, I'm for it. I love Kellen Moore.
Yeah, and I think that that could help for sure, but I also think one of their biggest problems is just Jerry Jones being a controller. Like, I don't think it'll get supremely better until he's gone. Cowboys fans, whether you like him or not, I just don't think it will. Like, he has puppets as head coaches, and that's why decisions happen. That's why these choking things happen, is because Jerry Jones is controlling everything. And when you have owners like that who can't just who don't let their GMs or coaches do their thing, this is kind of the outcome of that. So, like, for being an Eagles fan, being an NFC East, NFC guy, like, keep it going, like, keep having Jerry there, but like, it won't get better until he's gone or until he passes away. So, like, like, it's just what it is. Again, it's just funny to see how much they choke, because everyone's like, they could run the table and then they lose in the first round. They didn't get any farther than the Eagles did. The Eagles weren't even that good this year. That shows you how, like, awful, like, that turned out to be. I do want to do this next segment with you because I saw you added it. Let's take out the trash.
Yeah. Can I do something real quick before you do that? I forgot to text you about it. So on our Twitter, thank you so much for your support as always. Peter McGill, shouted us out, put out a tweet for people to follow us. Dude, you have been so supportive of us since day one when we were just like recording little audio files of like mock drafts. And thank you so much for continuing to support us through some weird changes and all kinds of stuff that we're going through right now. But we just appreciate you and appreciate what you're doing for us. So thanks.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah. Let's take out. Yeah, please let's take out the trash. You are more than welcome to go first because I'm going to take a minute. So.
Okay. Well, Joe and Rager, let's take out the trash here. It surprises me how many bad plays you can make in a game, even though you don't get the ball very often. Game after game, you get in positions where you get the ball on a punt return, or you get a screen pass, or you get a wide open, catch that could go for a lot of yards, and you don't do anything with it. It seems like you're always confused when you get the ball and you go 2 yards. You're like, wait, how did that happen? Wait, the NFL isn't the Big 12? I can't just do whatever I want to do? No, you can't. The NFL isn't the Big 12. You can't just run over everybody and run by everybody. It's a different league. Justin Jefferson, who was drafted behind you, yes, he didn't make the playoffs. I understand that. But it's just like Quez Watkins, who was a 6th-round pick, is doing more than you.
Yeah.
Multitude of receivers who are picked behind you, they're doing more than you. The one thing that you were promised when you came out was your explosiveness and your speed and your yards after catch. And he can't do any of that. And beyond that, he can't even run routes, and he doesn't have very good hands. So, like, what can he do besides straight line speed? Pretty much nothing. He fumbled a punt return as well yesterday. He didn't help them out at all. If I were the Eagles, I would most definitely cut him. But all in all, it's not his entire fault because Howie Roseman drafted him. So maybe part 2 to that, let's take out the trash, is Howie Roseman's drafting ability. He's hit on some for sure, but where it counts, where it matters, the first-round draft picks, he's been horrible at. So, Joe and Rager, let's take you out in the trash, get rid of you, cut you. Maybe we could package you with like a 2nd and a 3rd rounder and get Calvin Ridley. Maybe that would be nice, just to get an actual receiver in there. But let's take you out, and let's take Howie Roseman's drafting ability out as well. So.
Yes. Take Ridley if you've got a chance for Ridley. It'd be nice to see Ridley and Hurts together. Don't know if we're just daydreaming, but I think that would be a really good destination for him. I think it'd be helpful for Hurts. I think it'd be helpful for Sirianni. Like, there's so many benefits. Just
yeah.
The only thing that sucks is we don't know if Ridley is ready to continue. So we'll see. We'll find out. I'm gonna do let's take out the trash, and then I have to go. I really wasn't planning on being here, but I am. So I'm gonna take advantage of it. So let's take out the trash. For those of you that don't know what's going on with Kayvon Thibodeau, I'll make it very brief, but I'll give you some backstory. He's being really dumb. Whenever you call out a whole fan base, whenever you call out something with uneducated comments, you're going to get called out. And here's what he said. For me, it's about what brand associations do I want to be tied to, and people were asking why he chose Oregon over Alabama. He said, and for me, I already hate the stigmatism of football players, being dumb jocks. So now do you know what the stigmatism of Alabama education is? It ain't the West Coast. You know what I mean? It ain't Harvard. Kayvon. Why would you do that? You are taking on the champion of college football for the past how many years? Like, we've kind of dominated the sport. You could have been a first-round draft pick out of Alabama just as easily as Oregon if you could have competed, because there was more talent at Alabama than Oregon. But, and here's what kills me. Like, Greg McElroy, and I love him. Just met him. People that follow me on social media, I've been posting about it, been just raving about that whole, thing. But McElroy came out and he was like, listen, dude, I had offers from, every, Ivy League school. But I chose Alabama, and I have really good degrees from Alabama, and I'm not stupid. Come find out, Kayvon. And I thought that was it. And I thought, okay, he learned something. He's dumb. I called him out on Twitter and fought with a lot of Oregon fans for fun. Listen, Duck Boy, this is kind of where we fall, because after all this, he still kept getting mouthy. And he said, well, yeah, if you guys remember at my Nike opening, I was just kind of destroying Evan Neal. And then they posted the video. Dude, you were in the dirt half the time against Evan. He took you and went, and then the only reason that you stayed down there is they finally blew the whistle and he let you get up. So I watched multiple plays where you could not get past him. There was one where you got past him, but you were already on the ground, then you hit the pylon. I'm like, okay, that doesn't count. He is going to be the next Manti Te'o if he doesn't stop. If you believe everything that's happening in your head, you're going to be the next psycho dude. And at this point, I want the Lions to take him because I just want him to shut up. And granted, I get it. The state of Alabama has a stigma, not stigmatism, but the University of Alabama does not have a stigma attached to it. Actually, it has a really good stigma attached to it. So why you felt the need to speak out of your something other than your mouth, I have no idea. But I am enjoying roasting him, and I am enjoying letting him know that he made a massive mistake. He could have just said, I wanted to pick it for X, Y, or Z. You didn't have to go out there and go the extra mile and then lie about Evan Neal. And so I really hope he's a bust, kind of. That's where I'm at. Either that or go to the Lions and do nothing. So
the last Oregon defensive end that came out that was this high was Deion Jordan in 2013. And he was a bust. So maybe, that's not the end all be all to that.
I don't hate him. I just pick your battles, Duck Boy. Really, think about that for a second. Yeah.
You're gonna get drafted to the Jaguars or Lions, who are horrendous. So karma,
you're gonna carry the entire defense. I don't know. Yeah. I didn't understand why he keeps doing this, but if you follow on social media, it's a ride. I'm finding new Kayvon Thibodeau news every day and posting about it, something snarky. So if you want something fun to follow, you're welcome to follow that. It's been real. Thanks for having me for a little bit. I gotta go run and do lunch.
Later, man.
Yeah.
Bye. So thanks, Brad, for hopping on. Let's move on to Spicy a Meatball. And mine for this week is going to be the Steelers. And I think the Steelers need to do everything in their power to trade up for Kenny Pickett. I don't know if this is spicy enough. It could be, and maybe this is just what people think is going to happen, what should happen. But, I don't care where the draft pick is. I think they need to do everything possible to get him. And I don't think Kenny Pickett's going to be a stud. I don't. I think he could be very reminiscent of Kirk Cousins. But to get a quarterback like that, who I think will be pro-ready, to get him on his rookie contract for 4 to 5 years will be very, very important for the Steelers. Because why? They pay a lot of money to their defense, and it's one of their best attributes to their team is their defense. And they're going to have to pay a lot to Najee Harris. They're going to have to pay some to their receivers, maybe Deontay Johnson, who's not tremendous. And then also, I'm sure if they have the money after Ben retires, they can really go out and get some offensive linemen to help replenish that O-line for them. So I really think they could use the mold for the Steelers. I think the best thing is to get a guy at quarterback who doesn't cost a lot. That way you can invest a ton into your defense, which mean, look at the guys you have: Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt, Hayward, to it. Guys like that who just are deserved of lots of money. And while some of those guys might be at near the end of their careers or on the back leg of their careers, they're still contributing a lot of that cap space, a lot of that cap hit. So I think they need to do everything in their power to get Kenny Pickett. You talk about Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, like that could be an option as well. But a lot of that money is going to go to those two guys. So where's the rest of the team there? Can you keep everybody? The benefit is you have a stud like Najee who's on his rookie contract. That's really good. I think Pat Freiermuth's not bad. He's on his rookie contract. But a lot of the guys in the defense are not, and they're getting paid loads of money. So I think the best way, my spicy meatball, to do everything you can to trade up for Kenny Pickett, who could have a very similar career to Kirk Cousins. I know Kirk really hasn't done much in the playoffs, but like anything. But I just think with a better organization, which the Steelers are, I think that could bode well for Kenny Pickett. Let's go to flashbang here. I guess I'll ask myself flashbang this week. Just some playoff scenarios. Let's say the Bills or Titans, flashbang. I know Derrick Henry's back, but I don't think he's fully healthy, and it's Ryan Tannehill. I'm going to go with the Bills. Chiefs or Bengals? I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think it's going to be a high-flying kind of big play game, but it's just Patrick Mahomes has been there before on the biggest stage. I think it's going to be the Chiefs. 49ers or Packers? I'm going to go Packers. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think because the 49ers run game is that good. But Aaron Rodgers is not Dak Prescott. Aaron Rodgers is not the Cowboys. I think he will show up. Now, will he show up in the championship game, the NFC? I don't know because the Packers really can't get past that besides like one time. So that might not work out. But I think Packers could beat the 49ers in a head-to-head game. No doubt. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in the game, and I think he could beat the 49ers. It's Jimmy G. I know Jimmy G, a lot of people want him out, but for the most part, he doesn't really lose them the game. He's more of a game manager, but Aaron Rodgers is the dude, is that guy who can just overtake any situation whatsoever. Overrated. We're going to go the Patriots. You're overrated. The Eagles, you're overrated. The Cowboys, of course, you're overrated. You always are. Next. Jock, paper, scissors. We have Mason Rudolph. We have Dwayne Haskins. And we have another year of Big Ben. I know Big Ben says he's going to retire. Let's just say he's like, nah, I want to come back. Who would you choose? This is hard. Honestly, I don't know why I gave myself this choice. If I would choose between Mason Rudolph, honestly, I would choose Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer over Mason Rudolph. So we'll put him out. Honestly, I'd probably go with Dwayne Haskins over Big Ben. I really hope it doesn't come down for the Steelers, but I think Dwayne Haskins just has a little bit more mobility than Big Ben does. And he is built pretty big, not as big as Big Ben, but I just think a guy that you want to progress, you want to build up a little bit. I think Dwayne Haskins can do some nice things, but again, he's not going to be the long-term answer at all. So that's really disappointing. If I was the Steelers and those were my three choices, again, that's why let's go back to the spicy meatball. Like, you don't want those two options. You don't want to come down to it and be like, we either have Ryan Fitzpatrick or Dwayne Haskins or Mason Rudolph or Gardner Minshew or, those guys. Like, or paying, 3 first-round draft picks and $50 million to Aaron Rodgers, or paying 3 first-round draft picks and $40 million to Russell Wilson. Like, you don't want those options. You want something cost-controlled. You want something effective. You want something that can step in right away. Maybe not needing to be elite, but needing to be good. And I think that's Kenny Pickett. I think a lot of things that came out of that playoff series yesterday is just very apparent things. The Eagles quarterback, you need a new one, maybe, as well as a lot of talent on that team. Mostly the talent thing. Steelers, you're going to need a quarterback for sure. Cowboys, you probably need just a whole ownership change, head coaching change. I don't know if that's going to help, but if Dan Quinn leaves, you have a whole other problem for sure. The Raiders, it's impressive you made the playoffs. I don't know how you did it with all that stuff surrounding you, but if Derek Carr gets traded, I think you're back at square one. So I think I would do everything in my power to keep him and just getting more talent around that team. But for the most part, it's just like you need a very good quarterback or a very good defense to win in the playoffs. Tom Brady's there. Aaron Rodgers is there. Patrick Mahomes is on to the next one. It's Joe Burrow is going to be a really good quarterback for a long time if he doesn't, get hurt. You need a really good quarterback. You need a great quarterback to win a Super Bowl, unless your defense is elite. Like if back in the day, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. He sucks, but he had an elite defense. I think Big Ben won too, and early on he wasn't the greatest quarterback, but his defense was elite. But then Ben progressed and he was a good quarterback, or great quarterback, probably a Hall of Famer. So you really need a great quarterback or an elite defense to win. If you have both, you're probably gonna be there at the end. If you have one, you have a chance. But again, like I said, when playoffs come down to it, defenses take away what you can do best. And a lot of these run-first teams, their run game is kaput. It's nowhere. So they need their quarterback to make big plays. We look at Carson Wentz with the Colts. Their running game was elite this year. But when it came down to it, near the end of the year, teams took away JT. And what did that mean? It meant Carson Wentz needed to make big plays, and he couldn't do it. You need a quarterback who can make big plays. Hurts could not do that. Big Ben could not do that this year. I would say Dak Prescott didn't do a very good job of doing it either. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't really need to, but again, his defense is very good and his run game performed very well this year. So, quarterback is the name of the game, guys. It always has been. That's why teams go heavy. That's why they invest a ton. That's why they reach. That's why they spend money and draft picks on quarterbacks, because if you have a good one, the rest of your team can benefit by that. So we will look forward to this game tonight. The Cardinals and the Rams should be a very fun one. And we'll get back to you with Jock Talk next Monday. Remember to stick around Wednesday night for Sideline GMs. I'll give you the next three teams. I believe it's the Bears. We're going to talk about next, and some other teams, the Falcons as well, and the Broncos. Where their heads are at going into the offseason, what kind of players they need to draft to sign, where their cap space is at, looking back at their 2021 draft picks, just kind of giving you a little overview of the offseason for what they need for this upcoming year. So stick around Wednesday, 7 p.m. for that, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.